What's up, StockTwits Nation? We are here at the Gateway Conference. I'm here with Paul Kellenberger, CEO of zSpace, an incredible AI, AR, immersive technology company. We're going to get into it. I just got a demo, though, and my mind is blown, so I cannot wait to ask you about the business.
Great. Thank you, Katie.
Thanks so much for being with us today. I know you're doing a lot of demos. I'm sure people are hearing a lot of oohs and ahs from you all carrying the laptop around. But let's start at the top because I used a lot of buzzwords there. What is this technology you've built? You've been in the tech space for a long time. This product has been around over a decade. How should people at home who didn't get to experience the incredible demo I did, how should they think about this product?
So we are in zSpace a very unique AR, augmented reality experience. We're not VR. It is, in essence, objects projected into free space. With a proprietary stylus we created, you interact with these virtual objects. So very different, intuitive, and again, nothing on your head, unlike the virtual reality VR headsets.
And that was the part that really blew my mind because as we were going through the demo, you instructed me to touch something on the screen and literally pull it out of that dimension. And it was floating in front of me and I could see the shape of the plastic on the object. So help people understand the types of educational applications that come with that sort of a product.
Sure. So as you mentioned, we've been around for over a decade. Our core market has really been in K-12 United States, STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, and more recently, the career and technical education markets. So think of science and one of the things that we've shared with you and you saw is the heart. So the anatomy of the heart and the ability to bring that heart out just like it was a real life heart, but it's virtual, and interact with that heart. So our core markets initially were very much in that K-12 market here in the US. We're in over 3,500 of the 13,000 public school districts. And again, science, technology, engineering, math being the core focus. In the career and technology education market, which really is made up of two separate markets. One is what I call the old school trades, automotive, welding, HVAC. We have applications in all of those areas that work with zSpace and in zSpace. But we also have a whole bunch of new applications, AI programming, advanced manufacturing, robotics, that also work extremely well in zSpace. And our vision initially was to get students, and initially it was middle schoolers, engaged and excited in learning about topics they may not have been interested in. Fast forward to today, we have all kinds of data points and studies that actually prove that zSpace improves student scores, which is kind of the holy grail in education.
It's funny, you instructed me to point out the ventricle and it took me a few times, but I could point to it right now in a fake heart in front of me. I know exactly where it is because I had to grab it. It's just, where was that when I was in biology class? I want to start with the commercial opportunity in education, but I definitely want to get into the technical training as well. For investors at home, we're used to looking at different types of business models. A lot of them are in enterprise or in software. Education is kind of a black box for a lot of us. So where do these budgets come from? Are they expanding? You hear about educational budgets being cut. Which areas is that in? So walk us through a little bit the sales process for getting into these schools and what the STEM budgets are trending, which way are they trending over time?
Sure. So, given everything that's gone on this year in the education market, there's been a lot of things that have gone on with the current administration. The bulk of the cuts and impact has been in higher education, so universities. That's been in the press. In the K-12 market, there has been some small cuts, but for the most part, 90% of the funding in the K-12 market from a zSpace perspective is from the state and local government. And as a part of the education changes coming out of the DOE, one of the biggest things that has happened is that more and more of the federal funding that comes out of the DOE is going directly to the states. It isn't being tied specifically to title funding, could be special education programs or after-school programs. That money goes directly to the states. So in the big scheme of things, nothing really has changed dramatically for us on the K-12 side, but it's been a little disruptive given all the changes that have gone on. In the career and technical education side of things, that's an area of bipartisan support. The money has continued to flow. In fact, I would say it's even increased. I always tell people out here in Silicon Valley where we are, finding tradespeople is super hard and they make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So there's more and more students that are looking at going into those areas in the career and technical trade. The funding is there. By the way, we also introduced recently a product called Career Explorer, really targeting students as young as grades 5, 6, 7, and 8 to allow them to go and explore different careers very, very early on, not once they get to be a junior or senior in high school. Early days, but extremely well received in the market.
That's interesting because we talked a little bit about the data, the anonymous data that the tool can pick up. And so you could almost imagine a situation where it could pick up certain traits or capabilities in a child that could lend to them being amazing at a certain trade or a certain craft. And they would know that based on their behavior with the product.
Correct. In fact, right now we're continuing to develop our AI offering. And our AI offering has the ability to capture that contextual information. We know exactly where the student is looking. We know what they're doing in terms of interaction, and we're able to create virtual, real-time immersive experiences that are tailored for that specific student, which allows, you may be a sharper student than me, allows you to move on even faster than others. And it really is that personalized learning that makes it very, very unique.
Yeah, I famously cut my hand in shop class on a jigsaw, so I wish this were around back then, but I learned my lesson the hard way that career was not for me. So I heard somebody at the Department of Education, someone very high up, recently got to experience zSpace. Tell us a little bit about who that was and what the reaction was.
Sure. It was actually in Oklahoma. And Secretary McMahon, from the head of the DOE, happened to be in Oklahoma with the governor and went into Dove Academy. And one of the students actually demonstrated zSpace for her directly. So she got to experience zSpace firsthand.
And what was her reaction?
Well, I wasn't there, but my understanding from the people was she was very impressed. And again, per our previous conversation, we have something that's extremely unique.
Let's talk a little bit about the economics of the product. So we talk about the product and you explained to me off camera, it's the software really, you have partner on the hardware. So how is this priced? How is it sold? Is it one-off in bulk? Help people understand the go-to-market for zSpace.
Thank you. Over the last, I'll say, decade, we have built our go-to-market, and really we sell this as a solution. And we sell it on average, if there's 20 students in a class, we would have 20 laptops, and we create bundles of software content. I always tell people the hardware is the enabler. The software is what really brings zSpace to life and is what creates those experiences that allow students to retain the information, ultimately get better grade scores. On average, 20 of them would be roughly $100,000. And again, we sell them in the K-12 schools. We sell them in the CTE component of K-12, as well as community colleges, technical and trade schools today. And we still have a lot of room for growth in all of those markets.
And is one way to think about it entering new classrooms, new classes, and then another, similar to other software services, you could add on other applications for expanded business within the places you've already sold?
Correct. In fact, about 50% of our business is going into new school districts, new customers. The other 50% is the expansion within the existing base. And it could be more laptops, but it also could be more software applications to take them in different areas.
Yeah, I could see how that, if you have that experience in one class and not in another, as a student, you might be like, wait a minute, where is that program for when I want to learn this subject over here? Going back to the technical and the trades, I think that's a conversation we have a lot on this show. We talk about sort of AI, white collar jobs going away. We were just talking this morning about Salesforce eliminating 4,000 roles on their customer service team, and Oracle, I think, had some other layoffs today. So there's a lot of people wondering, how do I even get involved in some of these trades? How is the government sort of backing companies not like yours, maybe not financially, but what is the ecosystem right now do you think that's going to be a dominant part of the business moving forward relative to the K-12?
It's a good question. We started out very focused on K-12. Probably 2019 got started in the career and technical education side, and it has really grown. There's an annual chunk of funding called Perkins funding. It's almost $1.5 billion that comes out every year. It gets pushed to the states that is solely focused on CTE and innovative programs. There's also a number of state initiatives. California, New York, they each have their own state-driven initiatives. Some people call it workforce development, CTEs, same thing. Florida, Texas also have their own initiatives. I think more and more, and we're already seeing it in our numbers this year and what's in the public domain, the CTE business is growing a little faster. And again, it's an area where we have bipartisan support on the funding, which goes along with it. And, so much has changed, kind of back to the new AI world we're living in.
What about private sector usage? Say Elon Musk is building this army of robots. Say he wants to train people how to fix them. He calls you up. Is that an application you would pursue for a large enough enterprise?
Well, if Elon Musk calls, I'll take his call. Okay. But the answer is yes. But what I will also say, and we're a pretty pragmatic company, is it really comes down to having that application that has real value. There's a lot of cool stuff, and you only kind of saw the tip of the iceberg here. But you can build, and we've done it before for other corporate enterprise companies, and you can go build those applications. And then from our perspective, it would just be, we'd look at the scale and the size of the opportunity. But the answer is yes.
All right, Elon Musk, if you're watching our show, we know you often do. I want to talk a little bit more about your journey as a company. You mentioned going public about a year ago?
December last year.
Earlier this year. Okay. But the company's been around over a decade.
Correct.
So walk me through the decision to go public when you did. What were some of the goals and what do you hope to achieve as a publicly traded company?
Sure. So like a lot of companies, we went through our own, I'll call it COVID metamorphosis back in 2020. We were very much a feet on the street sales team selling predominantly at the school district, community college level. So when we got through COVID, we went through our own changes and we made the decision primarily for capital reasons that we wanted to raise the capital and focus the investments in a couple key areas. One of them was, and this kind of goes to the previous conversation about the value of the software. The hardware is the enabler. It's all about the content or the software. So as a part of going public late last year, we acquired a couple of software companies. They're in the public domain. That one brought us an application with real revenue. The other one brought us a small team, and they're building out additional applications right now, very much in the CTE side of things and the health side of things in order to continue our growth. The other one was some international expansion. We're very much been a U.S. Focused organization. And going public allowed us to do that. It also gave us, I'll say, a little bit more credibility, which goes along with being public. We're still very early in a young company in that regard, but we've gained a lot of value in that.
So 2 quick follow-ups on that one. The international, I'm curious, are there any specific countries in particular that are interested? And there's been a lot of conversation this year about certain pockets of business being national security concerns. So I'm wondering if China calls you up, are you allowed to sell into that market? So
since you asked, I'll disclose it. We used to do business in China. We have moved away from China for geopolitical reasons.
Yeah.
Internationally, we have really only done business through partners. So we don't have our own people deployed. In the US, we work with our own direct team as well as with a set of partners. The countries today where we are doing very well are not names you would think of, quite frankly. They're smaller countries. We have fantastic partners. By the way, They're countries like Bulgaria, Italy, and Poland. They're not the bigger names in Europe. I'm headed over to the Middle East in a couple of weeks. We've got a couple partners in the Middle East, and we have a number of implementations. We've been a little more, I'll say, opportunistic internationally, and we've really worked through partners. Big opportunity for growth. And it's one of those ones where we're going to continue to invest.
Yeah, I have family in Italy, and they're stone workers. I know trades are bigger in other countries than they are here, even though that's a growing space. I guess finally, we've dug into a lot of the tech and kind of the wow factor of that. But for more maybe investors who like, okay, that's kind of cool. In terms of the growth story, the business story, after you do a demo, you're sitting down with an investor. What's the pitch to them on why this is an investment that someone might want to consider?
So I got into this, and by the way, our market cap out in the public domain, to create $1 billion market cap company. I always believe from day one, we have something that is so unique. No one's got anything like it. We've got all kinds of patents that cover it. We will get there. And so to those investors, it's about the longer term opportunity. And yes, we're in the education market and there's been some level of disruption this year. We think things are settling down.
And STEM's usually safe from solid. That. It's not theater or something. Yeah.
So it's about the longer term and the longer term value proposition.
All right. Paul Kellenberger, CEO of zSpace. This was so fun. So great to have you with us today. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you, Katie.